Hello, good evening. Well, on this end of the world, it's good evening. Is it still morning with you, Ryan, or noon?
It's 1 o'clock Eastern time where I'm at, so just barely into
One
the
o'clock.
afternoon.
Well, well, thank you. Like this is the second session of the Realign Your Future challenge, and this will be a pre-session. So the official challenge will start on Monday, 7 p.m. Central European Time, which is 1 p.m. on the East Coast, 6 p.m. in UK, and I think 10 a.m. still in the morning on the West Coast. So I really invite you to enjoy this session, but also engage with us. So we are really looking forward to see your comments, seeing your questions, and yeah, I love to share with these two friends what's coming next week. And oh, they're both close friends of mine. They're both run in our weekly conversations with me. And so is Ryan has written an amazing book about redesigning your life and a true entrepreneur, someone who really goes for a full in and trying to find out what's happening on the edge of what we currently think that is possible. And Benj, the innovator in our conversations, someone who has a heart to invest in people, in their ideas. And it's really an honor to run with both of you and enjoy actually your feedback, your encouragement, and your pushback, and which is so much needed in this journey of the future. Like find your peers. So I'm honored to run it tonight with the two of you. And well, before we jump into the deep, like, is there something that you guys want to say? Give a warning maybe to the viewers, like
Yeah, health warning. This will change your life.
Work zone ahead.
Yeah, dig in now.
yeah,
No, no, seriously, Aryan. Again, I'm honored to call you a friend. I'm not just saying that. I genuinely mean that, and to be invited to be part of this journey that you're on, and and I love that your heart behind this is to see other people experience and discover what they could be and help them dream of it and see it and jump across the bridge and get going, pick themselves up.
And likewise, I'm really honored to be connected and friends with both of you as well, and thoroughly looking forward to this challenge. I think it's one of those things where it presses us maybe to work a new muscle type thing that in ways that we maybe haven't done before, but it's like both work and food for the soul in the process. So I think those who decide to jump in and really engage themselves in this challenge that you do is they're going to be very well rewarded on the other end. So.
well, I would sign off for this challenge after hearing the two of you. So let's get everyone excited to join the challenge. And so this is just like a pre-session. So if you watch this in the replay, like there is another replay out there from yesterday when we had the launch party, which was actually at my birthday, and that was done on purpose. It was not bad planning. That was done on purpose, and I want to reveal that at the end again. Repeat uh, the gift I want to give you because it's really my heart to share with you the importance of knowing your preferred future, working at it, and using it actually as a tool to find focus, clarity in everything you do. So also this challenge, it will be just like every day, 1 hour, but I promise you, actually, it will trigger an ongoing process that's actually will stay always at the back end of your thinking, which is where it should be. to keep you moving forward. So I've got a few slides that I want to show, and if you have a question, please use the formats on Facebook and YouTube to leave a comment, and we will see the comments live and try to answer it straight away. And if you have a comment, question afterwards, please do not hesitate, post it, and you will get an answer. So what I want to start with, and this is a drawing that I have shown yesterday, and in the drawing I want is what you see. I will just put myself a little bit out of the way. What you see is that actually this 5-day challenge is all about the dynamic, the spectrum between your status quo, your current setting, and your preferred future. And that's also the big milestone at the end of the challenge, that you have a more clear view of your preferred future in details with colors that actually could help you and be some solid rock for your future goal setting, your future development. And when we look at it, that there is a gap, and I mentioned this briefly yesterday, so I will go over it again, because there is so much in this model to tell, but there is a gap between where you are today and where you want to be in, let's say, 12 months, 15 months, or maybe when we talk about the preferred future, 3 years, 5 years ahead. And there should be a gap. Yeah, it's not a slip of the tongue. It is really a gap between what is now possible, your current skill sets, with your current perspective, mindset, and what is needed to develop. And actually, that is, you could draw it like a circle. And maybe you remember from math class, if you draw a circle and you only move to the right, you will end up in a shape that you see in here. And we call this actually the valley of tears, the valley of pain, because actually it's not the most comfortable thing to becoming aware that you are lacking some skills, some experience, and you have to gain them and develop them to get on the other side. It's a journey worth to take. It's not the easiest journey, and actually there's only one magic key, and that's to hang on for the ride till it ends, because that's the only thing you can do, and work on everything that comes up. And in this journey, it is about finding that place inside, that source of life, where there is rebirth, where there is something new born, and actually that's your future identity. So future identity is different than your current identity. Your current identity is connected to the current stage of life, while your future identity is actually who you can become, and that is connected to that preferred future, that future state. Or in other words, to play with the word, it's the opposite of the status quo, which is the now, it's the future quo. So that would be the new status quo. And you need to become someone different. That doesn't say that you completely have to change, but it's just this ongoing process of learning and finding out who you can become, and trying to work at that through competence development and new types of skills. And it's a bit like your current skills are connected to the past, so you're invited to use your skills to repeat the past. But if you want to do the future, then you have to acquire a few new skills and maybe unlearn a few skills. And in this journey, it is actually about finding out that it's not going to work. That's the first step. That's more like a rational conclusion. And then there is this moment that emotionally it really hurts that it's not going to work with your current skill set, your current competences. And there is a moment you have to let go. And actually, I mentioned that yesterday, and I will mention it next week again. There will be a battle between you and the ego. And your ego is nothing wrong with it, but it has a role, and it's not always the leading role. Like your ego represents your past. It promotes what you're good at. It promotes what you're proud of. And there is some kind of protectionism around your ego. But if you want to do something new and learn and go to a place where you haven't been yet, then actually faith kicks in. So there is this faith inside, coming from the inside, that is believing in something new. Actually, that's a driving force that's connected to hope, and it should be connected to actions and strategies as well. But that is the competition on the inside. So there's nothing wrong, and sometimes you just have to say to yourself, well, just let go. I'm just dying a little bit of myself, unlearning. So maybe a nicer word, but it goes, I think, deeper. And then there is this source inside of you, the place where your inner voice comes from. And you have to start listening to it, because there is so much to find between your rational brain and your gut feeling. The next step would be actually that there are voices that you have to silence. Like, if we are honest to ourselves, we know that when we are frustrated, we tend to blame others. So that's like just a simple example of this voice of judgment. And when you're in pain, emotionally pain, you become a bit cynical to release the pressure. So there is this voice, but that cynicism is not really contributing in moving forward. So you have to resist it, because in a way those voices tend to keep you in the old place. Well, you actually need to go to that place where you're letting go. And that could be fearful. And we know that the voice of fear and our brain really works. Like, fear is like fuel for our brain. So we have to resist that voice as well. At the other end, if we can resist it and rise and shine in our new future identity, could be a huge step forward, could be a small step forward. There are these other emotional, rational, and more like deep on the inside, I would say spiritual reaction. So rising and shining is really like, you have to believe that it is possible. And then being grateful is an amazing way to actually start to cultivate some kind of joy. And joy is a great medicine against cynicism. And then in the end, you will be intentional. So instead of being frustrated about it's not working and trying not to blame others, it's all about being intentional. So you rise and shine, you carry joy because you're grateful for what you have and what already works, and then you will be intentional and actually not shutting up and speaking up about it. And you could say there are voices again. So there's this voice of peace inside, a calm, quiet voice that actually believes in you, and you have to start listening to it. Then we have the voice of joy with being grateful, and it's this combination. And gratefulness cultivates joy, and listening to the voice of joy on the inside makes you thankful. So there is this ongoing, two-directional well happening inside of you. And then the voice of righteousness. And righteousness is not the same as judgment. I would say it's the opposite. The voice of righteousness is actually not judging what is happening, but actually is speaking and acting towards what is right to do. And these voices, these, I would say, counterfeits, will silence the left side, which is more like about like not encouraging you, and on the other side it is encouraging you. And if we look a little bit deeper, we could say, and it's just to simplify and make it accessible to understand, we could say like, one side are the external voices, which could be spinning in your head, could be culture, could be your closest friends, could be your closest enemies. And on the other side, it's about the inner voice. And when we look to the inner voice, then we could see that there is this coming from the bottom up, there is this spiritual intelligence, this emotional intelligence, and this intellectual intelligence. And that is like stacking up from the bottom. So it's not what I understand is what I feel, is what I believe. No, it's the other way around. What I believe is what I want to align my feelings with. And I trust that I will start to understand during the process, which means that I go from sensing to feeling to thinking, and then at the end, of course, to doing. And if we bring the voices back, I hope you see this connection between those two sides, that the voice of judgment is actually your intellect based on your reference framework, while the other side, the voice of righteousness, is actually filling your intellect with the new understanding of the new thing. And you could go all the way down. The end result should be that it results in actions. The actions of doing the right things, which starts with behavior, because out of your thinking it should result in behavior. Behavior results in different type of actions, and different type of actions should work out in results that actually fulfill that sense of future, your preferred future. Is your preferred future exactly going to look like when it manifests, when it demonstrates the way that you imagine it currently? Well, the answer is yes and no. It's not going to look like how you imagine it up front, based on that you gave it color, you gave it shape, but the only colors and shapes you have are part of what you have experienced before, your history. So it will look different in that aspect. In the other aspect, you've grown into it intentionally, so actually it will look better than you have imagined, and it will confirm what you have believed in. Of course, it's always possible there is a delay, a setback, but then it's up to you to get back on track, to keep going forward. So that actually, in short, how this gap is not bridged, because we are not bridging from the current state to the future state, but actually how we go through the valley, unlearn and learn new things, discover ourselves in a new way, and actually grow and become not a better version of ourselves, but a new version of ourselves. So I would love to hear, like, you have done my first challenge, and you have joined many other challenges in the meanwhile. Did you experience this valley of troubles, or is it just a concept?
I know for me, I've experienced it many times in life, and what the challenge did is it added a structure of really understanding how to navigate what I had gone through and still go through in a way that adds understanding and intentionality, and how to really collaborate with that process instead of resisting it, and identifying, where I was kind of hopping out of that progression, and maybe even starting over at times. And so, yeah, I think the challenge not only accelerates that process, but it really adds some great sort of wisdom, guidance, and insight in how to kind of collaborate and kind of partner with that process in a more intentional way. So, yeah, absolutely.
We have a duck, Bench. Your microphone is screaming like a duck. I think we have a technical issue with the microphone connection. What I have seen in my own life is that it's not just a concept. It's actually, like you said, Ryan, a structure that helps me to understand what is happening. It's not giving me the answers, but it gives me this outlook of what's coming. And at the same time, like what ground already covered. And also, it's not like that I have one of those valleys in my life. I have probably on every area, I have a valley of these, and some take a few years, and some take a few hours, and sometimes they come back, not on the same level, but on a higher level. But the one thing that I've seen in my own life, but also in those who joined the challenge, those who has finished the curve were invited for the next curve. Those who didn't make it till the end were given a second chance to start all over. That's actually a nice way to say, like, you cannot do a shortcut. You have to just go through the valley. And one of the things that I really I think it was yesterday that Grant said it in the session. He said the valley is not the dry place. Actually, it's the place where the water streams are, where the most fertile ground is, where trees are, where shadow is. So it's not a bad place to be there. And actually, there's much more life in the valley than there is on the top of the summit. But on the other hand, going down and letting go parts of yourself and unlearning it's not a simple thing. And you need people around you that actually walk the same path, if that makes sense. So they can say, come on, we're nearly there. And probably you will do the same favor for them a little bit later. And then at the same time, there are people that stay behind halfway, give up, which is actually the most painful thing in personal development and in growth. Everyone has the right for their own process, and everyone has the right to have their own speed. Unfortunately, if the speeds are not aligned, which could happen, then it means that there will be like a temporary disconnect between people, which is all fine if you know why you're doing it. And that's why I show this simplified model to just give you a structure.
Yeah, in the U.S. we have a phrase. I'm not sure if it's over in your countries as well, but going around the mountain. That it's that sort of that process of disengaging from successfully continuing, but kind of almost back to start. And but what's great about that is there's always another chance to re-engage. But having a way to just stay engaged with the process. No, even from a conceptual model, just the sense of I'm not crazy for having these thoughts that I'm having to sort of deal with as I'm going down through this valley, and that it's part of a process that I'm in. I mean, adds such insight to really even continue in the process. As I know you're going to build on these and the peer-to-peer sort of companionship that is the encouragement in that process, I think are invaluable. So I love it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Here.
I was going to say there's another side, a slightly different angle on the value that it brings, I think. And I was thinking this morning about physics, as you do when you're lying in bed at night, and thermodynamics and the zeroth law of thermodynamics, where everything tends towards a state of maximum chaos or entropy. And I think one of my reflections of why I did the challenge the first time is I'd left a load of stuff alone, and the consequences of going down valleys and facing crises basically had allowed them to go things to get more and more chaotic, which I think they'll do if you don't do anything about it. And the invitation in the challenge is actually, it doesn't have to be like that. You can take the energy that's still there, and you can build something new, from the valley up. And look, here's a group of people and a safe space who want to do the same thing for themselves. And as you said, Arjan, look, the slope's slippery on both sides of the valley. Sometimes you just need somebody to hold your hand and pull you up when you've slipped or stumbled, and to go, hang on, this is the way, come on, I'll pull you over this next boulder, you get over that one, and you pull them back over it behind you. So yeah, I mean, it's an amazing kind of set of tools that you offer. And the environment that you've created, if you can create an environment, but the safe space, and just collected people, like-minded people who really want to make a difference in their own lives and to the world around them too.
Yeah, thanks.
I'd say it's a very unique offer in the sense that how often are we invited to really understand and navigate into our own personal future in a way that accelerates success in that direction. I mean, it's that invitation doesn't come around every day. So I think what you offer is tremendous. It's been a tremendous help in my life, and I hope people jump in and really engage in the process. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, thank you. What I promised in this session is actually to talk about why it's essential to understand your preferred future. Well, what I just have shown you is actually the work that needs to be done to get there. And so it's not to have it like it's written in the small notes, but like it is work, and it's called life. And it's including the relationships that you need to live life. And it's worth it. And it's great that there are like-minded people around me, around you, that actually encourage and push you on. Like, the truth is, like last year I did my first challenge, but that was because Benj challenged me to do my first challenge. And I thought, oh no, there we go. And it's like skiing, like you took the wrong lift up, and you thought you were going for the easy slope because it was the first slope of the year, and you noticed that that was the other lift, and this is the black slope. This is the piece that this area is famous for. Well, you just have to start, which is all about like go over the edge and then find out that actually you have tools, and when you fall, you can. Someone else comes alongside, walks up, brings you back your gear, and you can click it on and continue. And that is, yeah, that's for me. That's really the thrill of these rides to do. So, but I have to tell you how to, why actually you need your preferred future. So what I have in here next drawing, and actually this space in between is where we tend to talk about our future quo. And our future quo, you could say, is maybe materialized in goals, but then a crisis hits. And I think I don't have to make up a crisis when we look back to the last 12 months. Something happened, and I haven't hit most of my goals that I set for the year 2020. But those goals, they were once backcasted from my preferred future. So having my preferred future gave me a foundation for these future goals. And those future goals were not connected to my current abilities, skills, and my budget. Actually, my goals are on the other side of that valley we had just talked about. So it means that I have to develop, have to find out, and really hang on to get there. But due to this crisis, there was just like a huge roadblock, an obstacle. So I deviated. And I think most of us have deviated. But having my goals backcasted from the preferred future, my goals didn't change. Having my goals connected to my status quo, then probably I start to create easier goals, adjust my goals. And it's something that I really try to apply in my life, and I encourage those who I work with and run with together, like, do not deviate from your goals, but just adjust your strategy. And that's the difference between adapting to the setting or adjusting your action. And before you adjust your strategies, those small arrows, you first should validate. I think that's the word. Validate your goals, those objectives that you've defined for your future quo. So before you do that, it's really like what we call the backcasting process. That will help you to turn the crisis you are in into actually an invitation surrounded by chaos. And I did on purpose the change of color. Like, chaos is a good place. I've heard it over the last 9 months. The world is in chaos. And those who are close to me know that I each time said, I wish the world was recognizing the chaos. Actually, the world is mainly in crisis, which is not a very fancy word to use, so they use the word chaos. But crisis is what you try to fight. And how many times a day I hear people say, back to normal, which for a futurist is really like strange language, to say it nicely, because you cannot go back to a place that you have passed and gone by, because the time goes on. So this place you want to go back has probably changed, and not for the best. So you have to move forward and create a new normal, a future quo. And so I really invite you to take this challenge as an opportunity to have this anchor point in the future where you can align over and over again your goals with, and then you can realign your actions the moment a crisis throws up an obstacle on the road. Well, secondly to this, it was already mentioned, this is an ongoing process. So I will repeat this challenge probably in half a year or a year's time again. For one simple reason, updating your preferred future, validating your future goals is something that you should do in an interval of about 6 to 12 months. And maybe at start that sounds too much, but every time you do it, every iteration, it will be adjusted, it will be enriched, and it will be more detailed. So in the iterations, it will just increase clarity, focus. And this mastery is actually connected to three elements, which is called a mastermind, which is a group of peers. And you need peer-to-peer community. You don't need a mentor. You are going on a unique direction with your life, with your business, with your organization. So there are advisors, but there is a moment that you don't need mentors anymore. I always compare it to kids. There is a moment around the age of 13 that you should stop parenting them and get more into a coaching way to challenge them and let them find out themselves. And we all know if we don't do it in an empowering way, we end up with terrible teenagers. The big question is, who's to blame for terrible teenager? Probably the coach has to learn some lessons as well. So the coaching helps you with empowering questions, which are tough, but they are intended to help you, to set you up to learn something new. Not necessarily the thing that the coach has learned. Now, the coach is interested in that you learn the best things that are applicable to your journey, to your life. And then the peer-to-peer community is actually those people around you that are walking with you. They have no stake in your development, but they go in the same way, and they love to grow and learn together. So this group of peers, some call it like brothers and sisters, is really not just a luxury. It's really helping you to actually start to practice it. Ask for feedback, because the practice part, you can learn things. From the coach, you're stretched, you're pushed, you learn something. In the mastermind, you test it, and with your peers, which is still like a safe environment. But then in real life, it needs to be applied, and then the real check, the real test comes, which means that you have to make the right choices. And if you make the right choices, you go back, and there you see there is the movement starting to happen. To bring those two things together, I use this quote, one-liner, and that is like that intrinsic motivation is steered by your inner voice. You need to understand your inner voice. If you are tossed around by circumstances, crisis, external voices, then it will be hard for you to find out what your preferred future is, what your next skill set is, what your journey of life, your convergence in life is. So you need to start hearing and listening to your inner voice. At the same time, this small flame on the inside can be amplified by external inspiration. So surround yourself with peers that are not a threat to you, so that they create a safe place where you can be open and vulnerable and learn, and you can be inspired by them to actually make you move with more energy. Maybe you have a low fuel day, then they will borrow you some fuel. We can give many metaphorical examples of this. And I just would love to hear how this goes and how this works for you guys. Like, you've been experiencing this in the small group over challenge. You have also experienced this in the ongoing masterminds, and we had two today, and I just enjoy it. Like the deep connections, questions, and the ongoing learning. Like you said, Ryan, going around the mountain, or probably you will come back on a higher place. You have the same view but slightly different. But being pushed by peers, I hope it accelerates you, and that it sometimes feels that the burden of your own backpack is a little bit less. Or am I just imagining it?
No, I think the environment you create in the mastermind group, and the ability to sort of test drive, and mine out sound bites. Not only does it force us to actually verbalize those, but there's learning and hearing ourselves, and then even more so in the feedback that comes. And so it really does, for me, it's accelerated insight, it's accelerated learning, it's accelerated you're really activating a lot of things inside of me that if you'd have talked to me a year ago, I would not have even known were there. So
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I think the sound is off again.
Sound is back on now.
Yes, technology.
I'm not talking to myself anymore.
Oh, that's what Ryan said. It's amazing to hear yourself speak.
I think for me, I've said this before yesterday, but the challenges and the year and a half of being part of this mastermind, I've learned stuff that I didn't even think that I needed to learn. And running with a group of people who, you know, will look out for you genuinely and just genuinely want you to discover, or me to discover, the best that, you know, who I can be. And I can see some of that, but, you know, we've all got blind spots and black spots, and to have people who will hold up that mirror, who will reflect back honestly to you, will call you on your BS when you're getting ahead of yourself, but also will genuinely let you know what it sounds. You know, sometimes if you're like me, you say something or you think something and it sounds one way, and you can only ever hear it that way because it's gone round your head 1,000 times in that way. And until somebody says, well, when I hear that, it reminds me of, what was the classic one? I was talking about acorns, and people thought it was a squirrel I was talking about. It's a silly example, but, you know, people hear, um, communication is two way, and having a group of people around you who you can trust to be completely yourself, and want the best for you, that's a really, really valuable place.
Mm. Yeah.
And I'd say it creates like a greenhouse effect for that process
Yeah,
where just putting my experience has been just putting myself in that environment. Not only does it accelerate the growth, but it puts a demand on me for that growth as well. And so, um, it's the
it's like a
whole
pressure cooker, isn't it, a little bit?
a little bit, yeah, a nutrient rich environment, but also a little bit of a pressure cooker, yeah,
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 Yeah, it nurtures the accountability in a healthy way. That because actually you're mainly accountable to yourself, but it helps that people around you actually are inspired by it and remember you that you have to be accountable to yourself, and remember you about what you said last time, and so you can learn also why it changed. Yeah, what I want to do for this pre-session, I want to just wrap it up. So I will just explain a bit more about what the format is, where you can sign up, and give the first assignment to just test. So even those who are not watching it online or live, but watch it in the replay, that signed up for the challenge, like be accountable to yourself. You're not doing it for us. You're doing it for your peers in the challenge, but mainly and first for yourself is actually to do it and receive feedback on it, because that's how you learn. So it's a 5-day challenge, which is by now known. It starts on Monday. This pre-session was just for education purpose and to get you excited and give you a little bit more of context. Um, you can watch it in the replays, but there will not be an exam around the pre-sessions. Each challenge session will be a live session through Zoom, so we're not streaming it to Facebook. Of one exception, the closed group where people do the assignments and where they can watch the replays. And the reason why we keep it small, so also not on YouTube or on LinkedIn, the reason to keep it small is creating a safe place and creating a central point where we are safe to experiment with our own voice, our own development, and where we can encourage each other. And it's definitely not material to be just out there in the public. Each session, with of course the first session, it will be a little bit harder because we haven't done all our assignment yet, because it's the first day and it will be more introductory. But all other sessions, we start with looking back to both the content and the assignment of the previous session, because reflection is actually the key of learning. Then we will introduce the topic of the day, and I will close with a new assignment for next day. That new assignment, you're asked to use your creative tools, which is actually your own choice of creative tools. The reason of creative tools is that you should surprise yourself and you should discover something new. That could be through a sketchbook for mind mapping, and some are experienced with Lego Serious Play, which is, yes, you hear that right, we are working with Lego in that method. But the reason is reveal it with the creative tools, verbally process it to hear yourself, explain it to yourself. So that self-talk, actually self-talk is one of the most powerful things to transfer what you see into what you believe. And if you can transfer that even deeper into a faith for something new, it will influence your actions and your results. So what we do is we reveal it, seeing is believing, we speak about it to ourselves, faith comes by hearing, and then we put faith into actions for things we can think about, but actually start, plan, and do. So that's why we do the video uploads to this closed Facebook group. Don't do video uploads to YouTube, LinkedIn, or the public Facebook pages, now only to the group. So if you want to have access to this group, watch the link that's coming by every time on the bottom of the screen, thefuturechallenge.com, to sign up. And the moment you've signed up, you get all the information to get into this group and watch the replays. There is a replay available in that closed group and on the YouTube channel from yesterday. Today's session will be added to that one for the replay, and we will have also a session at the end, which is from noise to sound to voice. I hope you've catch that soundbite through the whole story. There is so much to gain through your language. It's both the stage of influence in your life, which goes from being a noise to becoming a sound and invited to contribute, to becoming really a voice of influence, to really challenge the status quo. There, the buzzword is again status quo. And it is all about verbalization. So yesterday, and I want to repeat that, I mentioned that if you find the language of tomorrow, it will create something. If you keep repeating the language of today, you will just confirm what's happening. If you repeat the language from yesterday, you are repeating what already have happened. So there is so much to gain if you find the language that is connected to tomorrow, because by speaking it and testing it and refining it, you create your future. So that's what I want to talk about in the bonus session at the end. To get free access to the live sessions, to the process, the replays, the bonus sessions, and the peer-to-peer coaching, this is the place, the link, thefuturechallenge.com, to save your seat. What I did yesterday during the launch at my birthday, I said I want to throw in an extra free training for those who want to understand how you can use constructive material like Lego Series Play to reveal something new, to interpret it, and to apply it into your learning process. I will run that session on Tuesday, the 20th, few hours before the challenge. So that will be 4 p.m. in my time zone. And you see the other time zones mentioned. So it's 1 hour earlier in the UK, it's 10 a.m. on the East Coast, and it's 7 a.m. on the West Coast. That should not be a problem, because what I have learned is that those people live much earlier in the day than we do here in Europe. So I think the timing will work out, but I really invite you. Just grab some random Lego bricks up front, that you have at least some different types of shapes and forms, and some men and women, or whatever you call the minifigures, and just be ready, and we will run this online. For the first 15 people, and it's just simply because I want to give you access to my time, I want to give you 1 hour of one-to-one reflection on the results of your challenge. So for those 15 people that signed up first and finish the 5-week series of the challenge, I offer this 1 hour one-on-one reflection where we talk it through, what happened, and so we work on really the interpretation and the application of your results. I think that's a very generous offer and it's really valuable, and that's why I want to really reserve it for those first 15 who have finished the training. And I will just look to the timestamp of registration. So there are still a few spots left. So make use of it. Go to this link. Save your seat. So what is the assignment? To just get into the rhythm, into the flow over this weekend is use your creative tool. Could be writing, poetry, singing, painting, or Lego, and create a short video to introduce yourself. So try to capture yourself in a creative way. Who are you, and what is your and why do you want, not what, why do you want to know your preferred future? So be intentional. Speak from an active stance, and capture it with the tool, your creative preferred tool, and upload the video. And we get to know each other a little bit before we go into this peer-to-peer coaching. Upload it. Please be careful. Upload it to the closed Facebook group, and so that it's not just out there. That was actually my last prepared slide. So time-wise, we are really fast today, but I don't think we need to just fill the time. But is there anything at the end you want to ask me, challenge me, or just
No,
say?
I just wanted to clarify because I think this is being broadcast in my Facebook group as well. So if you're seeing this in my Facebook group, please register at that website, and you will actually get an invitation to the new Facebook group that is specific to this challenge. So I just wanted to clarify that for any of my folks who are interested. Definitely, highly encourage you to jump in and look forward to connecting with all of you in that as well. So.
Well, then I think I just sense it that the weekend is coming. So I want to thank both of you for input, support, but most of all, your time in this session. And everyone that has watched online, live, or in the replay, I just want to say have a great weekend. Don't hesitate, just sign up for the challenge for just one simple reason. You deserve it. You deserve to understand your preferred future and have an extra tool in your life to stay focused, stay on track. So sign up for the Realign Your Future Challenge. And I'm looking forward to next week, running with old friends and hopefully many new friends. So thank you all for watching, and most of all, Ryan and Benj for your support and your time.